After the recent pullback that Harmony One has seen, we have finally seen a pretty good surge to the upside. Guys, we're going to be diving into the technical analysis on the Harmony One protocol to see exactly what's been going on with the price action of the one coin. As we get into this video, if you do find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new, why not subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here. Right, with that said, done out of the way, let's dive right on into this technical analysis on Harmony One. We're going to start things off, guys, just talking about the performance so far and the structure of this weekly chart. And we can see that things started back in March of 2020, and the third wave peaked up here at March 2021. That entire year period, or 385 days, represents 18,905% in gains. So again, very lucrative returns on investment have been found so far. Now, obviously, there are two correction waves that we see inside this 5 impulse wave to the upside. Now, usually you see a second wave and a fourth wave, and sometimes these are alternating each other, in which you actually see one being flat and one being sharp, okay? And that's exactly what we see here pretty much across this 2021 bull run. You see that a second wave here is very flat, with this one actually being sharp. Now, what you find is that this actually bottomed out at wave 2 here at around December of 2020, with the fourth wave correction here actually kind of bottoming out around June time, okay? So this fourth wave actually went on for a couple of months before we went and pushed up into this fifth wave in a nice strong way, setting a new all-time high on what was previously a few months ago, the previous high back in March of 2021. So obviously several months have passed during a bit of a pullback and a correction, and we have started to see a nice push to the upside. Now, obviously we are about 415% away from my expectations of Harmony One reaching 79.9 cent. Okay, so a pretty good push to the upside is still due, and we are in basically facing some interesting areas right now. We're going to get into that on the smaller time frames in just a moment. The other thing that we want to talk about here on this weekly chart is the Stochastic Rsi. Here we can see that during this crash of March 2020, we were oversold. Wave 1, we were overbought. Wave 2, we were oversold. For wave 3, we were overbought, but we did have actually a pullback in the middle before peaking again. And then for this fourth wave correction, you got it, guys, we were oversold. Obviously pushing up in a nice strong way, we went back to the overbought area. Slight pullback here in the last couple of weeks has actually pulled us just outside of this area, just like we had seen previously. But again, we can come up here and we can be up here for a couple of months like we were in this fourth wave correction for a couple of months too. So ultimately, we are looking to pull back down eventually, but that will be the bear market scenario. So for now, we will actually continue this all the way across here until the end of the bull run, in my opinion, where we then actually lose that momentum and come back down. Now, we can, of course, have blips in the middle, like this one here, for example, where we actually have a lot of loss of that momentum without actually doing any damage at all to the price. So this is all about sentiment and what is going on with the price action. Sometimes you can see this drop down very fast without actually the needle moving too much on the actual candle, and then push right up in a really strong way where you do see that sentiment really push to the upside. And that comes down to basically the fear in the space. A good example of this is what was going on with this third wave to the upside here, right? We can see good volume coming in all the way up to the peak of 3, right? But there was this drop right here in the middle, and that was this kind of correction that we saw here, which was just over 40 or so percent, something too similar to what we see at the moment over here, right? This 2-week period where we actually pulled back down into this area before we went and rallied right back up again. So right now, this is not too dissimilar to what we have seen previously, and again, that moving up to about 79 cent is something that is incredibly feasible for Harmony One. We can see the good sentiment, and obviously the pullback in the volume, a decrease in volume during the last couple of weeks, and we'll be looking to push right back up again and really tackling out what's going to happen next here as we target some of those key areas for Harmony One. So overall, this weekly chart is very well structured. There's nothing wrong with it. We are in the fifth wave, in my opinion, after setting a new all-time high on the third impulse wave to the upside. The correction for the fourth wave definitely lasted a couple of months and definitely seemed to bottom out down here. We've definitely moved on way past all of those areas, so I'm happy to say that we are into the fifth wave. And obviously, for the month of September being a month of corrections, it's good to see that we are in a pretty good position right now, holding well, and we should hopefully come and start the month of October in a really strong way. So let's jump down into our hourly view. our daily view. And what we're going to do is just take a look at that Fibonacci retracement tool. Okay, so based on the current performance of the top of wave 3, the low of wave 4, this is showing us a 4.236 extension at 79.7. So at the beginning of the video, guys, I actually said 79.9. I was wrong by 0.2. So apologies on that. It is 79.7. And from here, we are obviously looking at tracking quite nicely. Now, the all-time high that we set was actually tracking nicely to the first kind of target of the 1.618. But from here, we actually saw Bitcoin pull us down, right? So we did unfortunately lose that area. We lost the 786, we lost the 702, we lost the 618, we lost the 50, and then we came right the way down to our 382 area on our previous trend line. And this is where we started to see that traction move back to the upside. The resistance that we're facing right now, guys, if I zoom on in, is the 618. Okay, so right now we are of course on the oversold area on the daily chart here, and loads of room to grow on this daily chart. So we will eventually be pushing nice and strong to the upside. And we'll have a look at the hourly chart in a moment to see what we can expect to happen next there. Ultimately, we had decrease in the volume, guys, on the way down here, which is good to see. And we wanted to kind of see that volume grow now as we continue these daily candles to the upside in a strong way. Now we're obviously oversold. So everything is to play for, for the next couple of weeks within the daily chart. But I am expecting some volatility still to occur on the hourly. Okay, so don't think we're out of the woods just yet. We will be facing resistance right now, and I am expecting a small pullback in the very near future. So what we'll do is we're going to jump over to the 𝗲 dashboard here. We're going to load up the Harmony data, and we're going to see if there's anything wrong with the underlying data from the advice.io dashboard. And this is obviously using machine learning and artificial intelligence to analyze each cryptocurrency and to review that underlying data to help us understand the underlying value of a cryptocurrency in an unbiased way, right? No humans are involved in this. The algorithms are just taking a look at the data and then telling you whether or not it thinks there's a problem with the fear and greed index, the liquidity, the Sharpe ratio, the profitability, etc. So for Harmony 1, we're actually an A3 cryptocurrency. It hasn't changed. It's actually a really good status. We can see the AMI had ratios in A2, no problems with liquidity. The fear and greed index is at B2, pretty neutral, not fearful, not greedy, pretty good place to be. And we can see that the Sharpe ratio is an A2, again above the 50-day average. So the risk to holding Harmony versus the rewards of holding Harmony is in our favor. So risk reward ratio is working for us right now. The profitability is obviously up there as an A1. Like I said, 18,905% in gains, significantly higher than that of something like Bitcoin with 1,600. Ethereum with 5,000. So it's a really good performer for the portfolio. It has been very good for us. We can see the peak end value demand is up at B2, pretty good, and the moving averages are also looking pretty good at an A2 rating. So ultimately, the advice.io artificial intelligence machine learning has absolutely no issues with Harmony 1. So an A3 cryptocurrency rating, absolutely fantastic, so no problems to report there. So what we'll do is jump down into our hourly report here, and or hourly chart, and we're going to take a look at what's been going on. Here we can see that good sentiment really coming in, right? Not fearful. And we've got a growth in volume as we have a growth in our candles. Finding this area of resistance right now is the 618. This is the previous area of support, as you can see over here. And again, this is an area that we are being rejected from. We are overbought, so we should be expecting a pullback. Now, we can obviously see that the volumes have started to decrease as we stabilized around here. So we will be now looking to lower that stochastic RSI whilst keeping that volume nice and low. This will allow us to pull back, and my expectation would be that we'd either pull back to about this area, which would be 14.3, or maybe a little bit higher at 14.6. It's going to be in that zone. I'm going to quickly just grab a horizontal ray and show you what I'm looking at. I think we're going to be looking at around about, if I just mark this up, it's going to be about there. Okay, and we just change that color to orange so we can know that that's not a target, but our support line. So I think we're going to pull back a little bit from our current position of 15.5 to about 14.4. That seems like a pretty sensible area to see that pullback come down to. That being said, though, we could actually stabilize around here, just trading sideways whilst keeping the volume low, lowering our stochastic without damaging the price. It's possible to do so, but I don't quite think the market's there and yet. And I do think that we should be expecting volatility for the next week or so with Harmony and, of course, many of the other altcoins as well. Once we get out of September and into October, I do think we're going to be rallying to the upside in a really strong way. So ideally, what we want to do is try to keep above the 14.4 cent area and then push up above the 618. Try to tackle the 702 and turn these into support lines as, of course, we head up to and close above the 786 again. Again, it's setting up the next level for looking for all-time highs like we did previously. And this is obviously an area that we have been kind of battling quite nicely, all the way from the downside, all the way back to the upside here. And again, this is something that I am expecting us to do in a really strong way as we finish out this correction and we move into October, really addressing the next target. So overall, really confident on Harmony 1, very bullish on it. Not really seeing too many problems at the moment. Everything's lining up nicely, but do expect a little bit more volatility just on the smaller time frames. Ultimately, I think your daily candles will still be performing quite nicely, but I do expect some volatility to occur on our hourly at least. But a small correction should be due. Probably within the next 6 hours or so, I would have thought. Timing is the hardest thing to gauge, though. We are, of course, overbought, so we should be looking to bring that back down into a nice, comfortable area in the next few hours or so. So, guys, I'm going to leave the video there, but hopefully you have found this video useful and informative. If you have, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here. With that said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.